hell is that? Ew. I shitted on the couch. My bad. Am I sexy? Click on my profile. I'm trying to figure out how to sit down. Oh, so today is September 27th. It's Sunday.
Fuck, it's a Sunday.
And summer is coming to...
Summer's over.
It's technically fall, even though today is 29 degrees, apparently. And sunny. Global warming. Global warming be like. To commemorate this incredible summer, honestly, it was probably the best summer of my life, I think. I had a lot of fun, and I spent it, like, completely alone. My alone time is so much fun. I am so much fun. I'm so much fun just to be around, and it kind of sucks because so many people want to be around me, which I get, but it's just, I have so much fun by myself. And this summer I was so selfish. I didn't spend time with anyone except for me and my dog. Which, Leo, you wanna come here? Come. Actually, he stinks like shit. He's over there, but you can, here, I'll show you. But to commemorate this incredible summer, so this is like a funeral. This is summer 2022, best summer of my life funeral. So go put on something black. Pause the video and change your shirt into something black. I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm wearing black shorts. I'll show you. This looks so stupid. Make sure to wear black in order to mourn summer 2022. My summer, not yours, my summer. You could have had the worst summer of your life. I don't know.
You better go put on black though.
Because we're mourning my summer. But I thought that we would go over all the books that I read that I haven't really talked about on here. There wasn't that many. I don't know. I feel like this always happens where whenever I have free time, like in the summer, I'm always like, yes, I'm gonna read so much. But then I end up not. But then when I'm really busy, I, for some reason, read a lot. I guess it makes sense because I kind of read in order to, like, take my mind off things. It's called procrastination. I read a lot for videos, but I'm not gonna talk about them. The first one that I read at the end of May was Cloud Cuckoo Land by Anthony Doerr. I read this for my... Okay, I've talked about it before. I don't want to talk about it too much. It's really underground. It's basically top secret, like the CIA or like book club. I'm in a book club. I've talked about it here a little bit. It's just me and my two friends plus Dua Lipa, the 46th president of USA, Joe Biden, the Dalai Lama, and the sexy gremlin woman. Recently we accepted her, as well as Malibu Barbie Paytas Hackman, which is Trisha Paytas's baby. We recently accepted her too, but we won't be accepting anyone else from here on out. I read that in May for my book club. It was a book that I already had, so I was ecstatic. So I was really happy when my friend chose that as the book because I had read All the Light We Cannot See by him, and I loved that book. But this was a very interesting book. It was about a few different timelines with a few different characters. His first book, not his first book, but the first book that I read, All the Light We Cannot See, was about a blind girl in France during World War II. And then Werner was a German boy who was like somehow a part of Nazis. It just flipped back and forth between those two characters and kind of told their stories that were separate but also kind of together. But this one, I think there was about 7 different characters placed across like 3 different timelines. One was in like Istanbul, which I don't even think that's not a country anymore. Is that? Like, I hope the best for that country, but I hope it's not a country just because. Oh, I remember there was a song. Istanbul, Constantinople. Oh yeah, Constantinople. Yeah, Constantinople was the capital of the Roman Empire. Perfect. So there's characters in Constantinople in 1453, characters in Idaho in 2020, and only one character from the future. Overall, It was really good, although it got confusing in many parts. It felt kind of like he won the Pulitzer for All the Light We Cannot See, and I think he has even said in an interview where he was like, I won the Pulitzer for my other book, and then I was like, how can I make this next one like even better?
It seems like you made it more complicated for yourself. 5 perspectives, 3 different eras.
So I'm fully expecting his next book to be like 60 different characters placed in like 30 different timelines, and I will be reading it, so. The next book was Solitaire by Oseman. I made a video a while ago where I read books recommended to me by strangers on Omegle, and the thing with that video, I had already done that. I went on Omegle and got different book recommendations, and one of them was Solitaire. I remember there was this little British girl who was reading it on Omegle, and then I had to interrupt and be like, excuse me, what book is this? And then she was like, oh, it's Solitaire. So I read it, and then I had deleted the footage, which ended up actually being a good thing because the recommendations I got the first time were like absolute garbage, like ass. But this book, I really liked it. I tried to read something else by Oseman, Radio Silence, and I just found it way too cringy. This also was around the time when Heartstopper came out. I didn't watch it though. It wasn't a show that I thought I would enjoy. Anyways, this is about Nick and Charlie's sister, Tori Spring, and just kind of experiencing high school. She meets a boy who's very interesting named Michael that she knew when she was a child. I don't know, like it was YA. I read it in like 2 days. Oh, okay. It also was super nostalgic because it was released in 2014, so it was like the height of Tumblr era. Although I wasn't on Tumblr, I like understood the culture. It's just their outfits were so insane. Like so many people wearing flannels and chokers, just Tumblr attire. Or how much everyone hated themselves. That was a huge thing. Everybody was so self-deprecating. There's also tons of talk about mental illness in this too, by the way. Like gnarly stuff, like self-harm, I think. Is that? I don't really remember. I think so, though. Radio Silence really left a bad taste in my mouth. Like, I would bully those kids. No, I wouldn't. But, like, I get it. Be yourself. Be who you are. I love that sentiment. But, like, there's a limit. No, this is making me sound like a horrible person. I would never bully them, but that vibe. What was it? Like, they were like wearing Monster Inc. PJs to school. That's all I'm gonna say. And then another one for my book club I got to pick was Pachinko by Minjin Lee, which is a book that I had read last summer. And it very quickly became a new favorite. I loved that book so much. I just wanted my friends to read it and to reread it. So I picked that as the book club pick. I feel like I went into it expecting to discover a whole bunch of incredible stuff that I missed the first time reading it. And this is why I don't reread books. I basically only ended up discovering problems, which sucked. I wasn't expecting that. Rereading it was kind of a miss for me, but I think it's still one of my favorite books. I don't know. That's debatable. But basically what it's about, it starts in the year 1910, I believe, with the birth of Sunja, who is a Korean woman who lives in like this fisherman village in Korea, and then it just follows her throughout her whole life. The way that I would describe it is like a family tree, because it starts out with Sunja's parents, and then it kind of just trickles down as she has children and then grandchildren. It explores their different stories, all while keeping Sunja in the middle, but it definitely branches out a lot. I also read Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee, which is the final book in the Greenbone saga. I thought it was really good. I've talked about this series a lot, but basically what it's about is this crime family living on this island called Kikon, and they control Jade. In this world, Jade gives people powers. It's been described as being like the Godfather. Like, crime families kind of control politics and business on this island. There's a rival gang called the Mountain, and there's a few little smaller gangs around the island, but the main ones are the Mountain and the No Peak clan. It's just a perfect mix of kind of real world politics and business and fantasy. And I feel like this book wrapped up the series so well. I also read The Glass Hotel by Emily St. John Mendel. This book is about a few different things. Part of it is set on Vancouver Island in this made-up town called Cayette, where somebody builds a glass hotel. The Glass Hotel is honestly not really a huge part of the book. Honestly, I feel like the majority of it is set in New York, but it follows the main character, Vincent. There's a few different characters, but I think Vincent is kind of the main character. Honestly, don't read this synopsis because that spoils a lot. That like spoils basically the ending. If you're gonna read this, don't read the synopsis on the Goodreads because that shit just spoiled everything. But Vincent basically marries a very wealthy man and moves to New York and becomes basically a trophy wife. Even saying that, I feel like is kind of a spoiler. I would say the best thing to do is to go into this book not knowing anything. Basically, there's a luxury hotel in a beautiful place in the world where some fucked up shit goes down. Sorry. If you like the show Succession, I think you would like this because I found myself being like, this shit is very similar to the show Succession, which I love. So yeah. Oh my god! Another one from the book club. I also read Indians on Vacation by Thomas King, which was so fun. This is about Bird and Mimi, who are Blackfeet. They basically are tracing these old postcards across Europe from, I think it's Mimi's Uncle Leroy, before he passed away, in order to find this long-lost medicine bundle, which is a bundle of, like, sacred family items. Basically, the whole thing is set in Prague, which is the last postcard they had. So it's kind of their last-ditch attempt to find this medicine bundle, as well as figure out what happened to Uncle Leroy. It was just a fun little adventure. I think my favorite thing about it though was just learning about Prague. They were traveling to all these like real statues and buildings, and every time they would name it and start describing it, I would just immediately pull out my phone and start Googling it because there's like so much wacky fucking crazy ass shit in Prague that I had no idea about. Like there's a statue of a little boy and his member has been rubbed gold, so he's like all black, but then his penis, they rubbed it so much that it revealed the gold, and apparently it's like good luck or something, and that's a real thing in the real world. If you can Google it, I don't think you should, but you can. I also read Tampa by Alyssa. This was fucked up. Probably the most fucked up book I've ever read. It's about a middle school teacher who becomes a teacher because she wants to take advantage of preteen boys. She's a freaky, weird pedophile. It's based on a real woman. I don't know her name, but I think it was in the early 2000s. But in this, her name is Celeste. She's 26 years old, and she starts this relationship with this boy. It is a horrible book. Like, the content, it is the most disturbing book I've ever read. Like, what the actual fuck? I think you really need to read it with, like, a critical mind because you're really in this woman's head and seeing from her point of view how her brain works. And it's really, really fucked up. But I loved it. It was done so well and being placed in this evil, vile human's head. The subject matter was so fucked up and genuinely made my stomach churn, and just complete and utter lack of any and all empathy and only trying to fulfill her own desire. It's like shocking and ugly, but like it was done so well. And then the last book that I read over the summer was The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. I bought this book at Value Village probably at least a year ago, maybe even 2. And it has sat and rotted on my shelf for so long. It's a memoir about her family and growing up with some very interesting parents. Her father was an alcoholic. Her mother was just quite neurotic. I think she loved her kids a lot, but she really did not have like a maternal bone in her body. Like it says here that her parents, it was their ideals and stubborn nonconformity that were both their curse and their salvation. Neither of them could hold jobs. They were basically nomads. They would stay at a place until they got kicked out, or like the father had some like mob after him and they would have to like just what What the fuck was that? But every couple of months, they would just pick up their shit, get in their little car, and drive to some random little town in America and chill for a while. And it just was so interesting. The author, she ended up moving to New York. The book actually starts out with, I think she goes to some like fancy dinner or event, and then in a taxi ride home to her beautiful apartment that I'm pretty sure overlooks Central Park, she sees her mother, who's homeless, going through a dumpster, which is obviously just like, what? How does that happen? She was like a gossip columnist. She was a journalist who journalized the interesting shit. So she's an incredible writer. I mean, there's never a moment in this book that's boring. Ever. I read it in 2 days. But yeah, I loved it. But that was the last book that I read this summer for fun. The other books, man, the books I read for videos, Ugly Love by Colleen Hoover, The Old Man in the Sea by Ernest Hemingway, garbage. I'm sorry. Especially the Ernest Hemingway one. Colleen, I respect it. I get it. You know what I'm saying. I know how you know. How we know. So yeah, that was the books that I read for fun. I'm probably gonna read a lot more now that school has started and I have less time to do that, and I'll see you later. I love slugs. I know that people are always talking about how they have spirit animals, and motherfuckers will be like, my spirit animal is a lion because I'm so fucking fierce. Or, my spirit animal is a fucking slug. I'm obsessed with slugs. They are living exactly how I wish to be living. I want that life. All they do is be slimy. Hello? Like, that sounds like an incredible life.